Hello, good morning, happy Monday. All right, so today I am answering a question from It's Stargirl. And It's Stargirl wrote, please can you talk about constantly looking at the ingredients in food, especially at the supermarket, etc., and how being afraid of eating unhealthy, in inverted commas, foods and ingredients like flavorings, food coloring, and much more, and even comparing food labels and ingredients and choosing the slightly healthier options even between unhealthy and inverted commas foods. I'm in recovery and I'm finding myself looking at the ingredients of everything I want to buy for myself and being afraid of all the unreadable and weird ingredients and feeling physically and mentally bad and guilty after eating them, especially when others don't eat these things, because she tends to compare to others as well. So that's orthorexia, which, I don't even know that orthorexia really needs a different label than anorexia. I kind of think it's still restrictive eating. It's just got a little bit, it's like your thinking brain part has used some other justification for restriction and placed some other value and judgment on food. And so it's, so imagine if this is anorexia is a biological response, or the desire to eat very little and move a lot is some biological response. But I think that's a brainstem area response that we don't really, it's not like you sit there and go like, oh, yeah, I'm obviously in a famine, so I better move a lot and eat very little. No, because you're not in a famine. This is just a response thing. Your brain's going, there's not enough food coming in. So what does that mean? Must not be enough available food in the environment. And then your logical brain, the higher brain area, is like trying to make sense out of the fact that you're being weird around food and probably exercise as well. And so I think it starts to plaster meaning onto it. It tries to make up a reason as to why this is and why you feel this fear. And so I think that the combination of that and the brainstem area eating disorder thing sort of results in anorexia, which is severely, there's just weirdness around and wanting to eat healthy food. And I think that there's a reason that we want to eat healthy food. And I think that reason is that, say, if you were migrating, if you were moving and you were moving a great amount each day, fruits and vegetables would be the foods that would be available to you as you are moving. You might find fruit and vegetables. And because they are forage foods, you wouldn't have to stop moving in order to eat that type of food. However, if you wanted to have something like meat, a food with fat in it, then you'd have to stop a day's migration and try and go hunting, which would be a really, really, really dangerous thing for you to do, because hunting would be risky. There's no guarantee that you're going to find any food, especially when you're in a famine. So if you're in a famine environment, your brain's like, you better not go hunting, because you probably end up dead, because there's nothing for you to find, and then that's a whole day that you spent wandering around looking for the antelope or the buffalo that aren't even here, dumbass. So don't do that. Your brain makes you very scared of that. Doesn't want you to have that type of food. Doesn't want you to want that type of food, or makes you feel scared of that type of food. So I think that that's the reason that we are averse to eating usually things with lots of fat in, or things that, and then our higher brains sort of like, because we've been told fat's not healthy, fat's not good for you, and there's all this judgment around food, and the food that there's judgment around tends to be high calorie food, and it would be meat that would be the high calorie food that your brain is scared of if you were in years and years ago and it was in a famine and your brain knew that you had to move. Then your brain's just kind of like latched on that fear to all high calorie foods. And high calorie foods just happen to be junk foods. And so that's why I think we become, it's not just this big coincidence that every person with anorexia just happens to be really terrified of the same sort of food. No. So anyway, that's what I think's behind all of that fear. I haven't answered the question at all, have I? What about the actual checking the label stuff? Stop it. That's basically the thing. We've got to train your brain that high-calorie foods, nutrient-dense foods, junk foods are nothing to be afraid of. And you don't train your brain that these things are nothing to be afraid of by avoiding them, that's for sure. You also don't train your brain that these things are nothing to be afraid of by scrutinizing them. Because that is, when you're doing that, that's a fear-based action. When you're checking the labels and you're looking for long words that you don't know because you think there could be something that's not healthy in here, then you're not teaching your brain that this is fine. Because if it was just fine, you'd just pick it up and eat it. If it wasn't important, you pick it up and eat it. So by scrutinizing labels, you are teaching your brain that this is really important and I should definitely be scrutinizing labels. And we don't want to teach your brain that. We want to teach your brain that it's fine, it's food. I don't have to worry about it, I just need to eat it. And so in order to get your brain there, which it will get there after practice, because I certainly don't look at labels anymore, it wouldn't even cross my mind to do that. And I used to be crazy about it. So you can retrain your brain on this, but you have to be consistent. You can't expect your brain to suddenly not want to look at labels anymore if you're still picking them up and looking at them. You have to train your brain that that's not the case, right? Got it? And so I did that by, well, first of all, it's like I would just take a deep breath, go into a store, and I'd buy stuff, and I wouldn't look at the labels, and then I'd eat it without allowing myself to even look. And of course, I really wanted to. It's like telling someone not to press the red button. I really wanted to look at the back of the package, but I've also got amazing willpower. And if I decide I'm going to do something or don't do something, I'm either going to do it or not do it. So I didn't do it. And after a while, my brain was like, oh, evidently I don't need to look at the back of the package because I haven't been doing so, and I'm not dead yet. So it obviously wasn't that important. So that's my advice on that. Anyway, I just want to apologize in advance. Videos might be a little bit spotty over the next couple of weeks because I'm moving house. That's why it sounds so echoey in here as well, because we moved a load of furniture out over the weekend and it's like a shell of the home I used to have.